Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live, in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus, please play responsibly. What is up, Oilers fans? We are back. It's your boys, Zach and I, here to recap a loss. You know what? The Oilers didn't deserve the 2 points tonight. They played like they just had no interest in this game. And honestly, we would have appreciated a little bit more effort. You know, we get up. We have been on a little bit of a break. Zach and I have some rust to shake off.
A long bit of a break.
But, you know, we get up to do the show. We try and fire up the crowd. And the Oilers just looked like they were still on break mode. Still in Cabo, still in Florida, wherever they spent their holiday. Zach, what do you want to highlight about this game? Honestly?
That was the most boring, atrocious, slow, run-down piece of junk hockey game I've watched this year. My eyes were getting glazed over. I'm trying to take notes. There literally were no notes to be taken. There was nothing going on from puck drop to 55 minutes left. There were the effort was horrible. Leon Draisaitl, oh my God. I saw they put up at halfway through the game, they had 8 giveaways. Leon probably had half of them, which again, not trying to pick on him because every single player played like garbage, but dude, Leon and Connor did not have it, and the rest of the roster did not have it as well.
It felt like way more than 8 giveaways, right? It's midway through the game. I just tweeted, this entire game, the Oilers have just been handing over pucks, pizzas, turnovers, whatever metaphor you want to put it as. They've just been handing it right over to the Flyers. And you could see that the Flyers got up for this game, right? They had jump.
From puck drop, the Flyers, they're playing in straight lines. They're hitting everyone. Doesn't matter if you're their all-star Kevin Hayes or if you're Nick Seeler on the third pairing. They're smashing, they're hitting, they're playing with intensity, they're playing with pace. The difference between the Flyers team and, just a team you'd run into in the playoffs is the Flyers are probably putting that same round one intensity into every shift, but they have no skill. So they make up for it with their hard work, right? How many chances did they create that they just completely flubbed, right? Part of that is the Oilers' just lack of awareness. But you saw it in the missed passes. There were a number of times you just saw, one that really stands out to me is Ryan McLeod early in the first period, just looking around because he didn't know where the puck was, right? There were just so many plays that were just a lack of awareness, a lack of care, a lack of pace, a lack of intensity. There was no tempo to the game. It just
ton of Oilers. You could see a ton of Oilers just stretching the stick out, bending over slightly because they're just out of reach, not using their legs. Brutal passing, just so many pucks that were high passes.
And it's funny, I want to sit here and I want to complain about the refs, and the Oilers didn't draw a power play. They did not earn one power play. The only thing I can even think of is the whoever on the Flyers pulling Nurse's helmet off, and even then it's a 50-50 call, right?
That one's tough, right? Because he's trying to get around Nurse, and he goes a little bit on. He more hops on Nurse's shoulders than around him. So you feel like, okay, that's a tough one. Did he deliberately pull the helmet off?
But maybe even not. That's something that's not earned through their a hockey play. That's just something that happens in the game, right? That's not they were working hard on the forecheck, they were cycling, they were creating pressure, and they drew a slash or a trip. That was just a play that just happened. That's not right. So
the first 2 or 3 shifts of the game, right? That's when you think, okay, the Oilers are pushing, they're cycling. Hyman was great tonight. One of the few highlights. I think Hyman was especially good early on in the game and in the third period. There were a lot of times
he did score. Sorry, I cut you off, but he did score a disallowed goal.
It's Zach Hyman, so it was disallowed.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? There were so many in the first 3 shifts. There were so many chances. You saw cycle busting happening. Anytime the Flyers took the puck back, the Oilers stopped them at the blue line, immediately started the cycle again. Somehow, after like a minute and a half, all of that shut down. It's almost like the Flyers got slapped in the face and then decided, hey, you know what? We have to start manning up here. And they did. And the Oilers, after that, just stopped forechecking, stopped
I
hitting.
don't think they ever started. I can remember Evander Kane. I think Warren Fogle had a few plays. Like, to me, the standouts were Warren Fogle.
Fogle was great.
Janmark played a decent as far as Matthias Janmark goes.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
But the best player in the Oilers, bar none, was Stuart Skinner, obviously.
Stuart Skinner, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Kept them in the game. Like, he full credit. That is his point. That is no one else on the team gets responsibility whatsoever for that point. That point belongs to Stuart Skinner. He stole that point. They did not deserve to get to overtime. There was, I can't remember if it was Kulak or Cece had the giveaway with like 20 seconds left, right?
Dude.
And it looked, and Skinner comes and makes a fantastic save, and you're just like, oh my God, you almost blew it. And even earlier, like Hart was playing like a Vezina candidate. I guess it was a big deal.
Hart and Skinner, I'm proud to see 2 Edmonton boys playing in the big leagues.
It's a big deal to have 2 Edmonton guys. I think it was Southside Athletic Club versus like Sherwood Park or something. I don't even know.
Sherwood Park Crusaders, I think.
No. It's triple. I can't remember. I live in Calgary. I didn't play hockey, so.
But anyway, you're right. Like 971 for Carter Hart tonight, 972 for Skinner tonight. But Skinner had all the 5 alarm saves. Like, Hart had maybe like 3 high danger chances that he had to stop.
When the Oilers turned it on, it was like 5 minutes left. They're like, oh shit, we might actually lose. We need to turn it on. All of a sudden, they come out flying, and they have 5 minutes of like pretty decent chances. But it's like too little, too late at that point, right? Yeah. Like at the end of the game, the Flyers, it looks like they significantly have more. They had 17 high danger chances to the Oilers 11. It looks like it says they're even in the third period, but throughout the game, the Flyers just took it to the Oilers. They did not show up. I think they thought this was a mountain start, 7 p.m. mountain, but it was 7 p.m. Eastern.
It's like, it's weird because, they played in Detroit. They already gave up the first goal in that one. So as soon as this first one came in for Philly, I thought to myself, hey, it's just going to be another one of these games. The Oilers going to bounce back. They're a bad team. Philly notably has a pretty leaky defense, right? Carter Hart is a great goaltender, but that blue line is not anything to write home about.
No.
Still, Edmonton couldn't crack it. I think one of the key factors for me was the fact that Philly, if you look at the heat map, they just were all up in Skinner's grill. They love to buzz around that crease, whack at him, get all these chances in front. Edmonton, I've seen better.
Not a strong defensive game from Edmonton by any means. I thought Philly's defense, they played pretty well, considering Edmonton.
Decently well.
I have this theory where when Edmonton plays lesser opponents, they just believe that they're going to outskill them 100 times out of 100, right? So they go and they just always try and pass it into the net. They try and make those plays. I think that's why against worse teams, it seems like Leon has these worst games, because against Columbus, he did the same thing where he's giving these backhand passes through 2 or 3 people, where against Vegas or Tampa, you'll never see him do that.
It looked like the All-Star game pass that he had,
exactly.
Right? Just right to no one.
Guy was just full-on lazy Leon tonight, which, whatever. I'm not going to harp on that. There's, a number of issues in the game. But just to watch, even in overtime, you could just tell. They didn't have that magic that they normally have. Everyone was slow. It just was like a lethargic effort from top to bottom for 55 minutes. So even longer. And they lost the game. They lost in the shootout though, so that just dampens it. Even if they won, I probably would feel the exact same way, because I've said this before on the show and I'll stick to it. A win or a loss in the shootout to me means absolutely nothing. It literally I could not care less about it.
Honestly, once we got past overtime, I turned off my TV. I was just checking the highlights of the shootout on my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
That was it. Because the shootout, it's hard, right? I understand, and this is going to be a long discussion if we wanted to get into it. I understand the need for something to cut games short, right? There's broadcast schedules, there's a whole bunch of considerations regarding logistics of teams, but the shootout is just an absolute killer, right? Like you could talk about the momentum side of things. If a team is dominating in overtime, shootout kills all of that. It just makes it a coin flip. The second part is you could hear how loud that Philly crowd was. Once it got into overtime, they were buzzing, right?
They were energetic for sure. They were booing the Flyers on every power play.
Yeah, that's true.
They
notoriously
were
bad.
15%. I couldn't believe it when I saw that they were only 15%. I know the Oilers' kill looked pretty good tonight, but that's where I put that little asterisk because it was that Flyers power play. Just before we keep going, I just want to say what's up there. It looks like there's some people I don't recognize in the chat. Jarrell, Johal, Josh Kahn, good to have you with us. Mick Nader, awesome to have you back. No MGD tonight. Avery obviously was in here earlier. David W. But if you guys want to go ahead, hit like button. Dennis and I haven't streamed together in 2.5 weeks now, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel a bit rusty, just like Leon. That's why I'm not putting too much emphasis on his bad play because we know he'll get it back. It's been a really 2-game stretch of kind of underwhelming play from Leon and Connor. Even though Connor has 2 points in those 2 games, this has not been normal Connor play. Nuge played good. Nuge had a couple posts at the end. Like Nuge had some good chances with his line. I thought this was a better Costin game than we've had in some time. Costin has been pretty quiet. Not that this was fantastic, but
talking about Costin, right? Like he played 50-50. It was a very depth type of game from him tonight. Nothing outstanding. We do know his shooting percentage was really high when he first joined the team. So this is a little bit of regression to the mean. That's fine. I felt bad for McLeod. I feel McLeod had a good streak going on for a little bit. Like he was buzzing, especially that first, couple of games. I just feel like McLeod right now is the depth that this team needs. McLeod, Costin, Fogle, like you said, played great tonight. If these guys chip in like 1 goal a night and your top line gets you 1, like the NHL, most games end in like a 3-2 game, right? So if you get 2 goals,
not with this team.
Not with this team, if you can get like 5 goals, you're pretty safe.
There you go.
But like 3-2 is, the standard score for an NHL game nowadays. And if you're getting like 1 depth goal, 1 up, like top line goal, you just need a little bit more and you're there, right? This is the sort of game where I feel like we didn't deserve the 2 points. I'm glad we got the 1 because, like you said, Stuart Skinner, he took the 1 for us.
To be honest with you, this isn't a game I pin on the depth whatsoever. I thought the depth was fine. Like it's not gonna be like Detroit every single night, and they're not gonna go out and score 5 goals in the game, and McDavid's gonna have 1 point. I'm never one to blame McDavid and Draisaitl, and I by no means mean this in any disrespectful way, but like for the Oilers to win, like you expect McDavid to have 2 or 3 points a game, like and that's a fair expectation. As crazy it is to say, like he's well over a point. He's very close to 2 points per game on his career. It's like probably 1.6 or 1.7. You can expect that, and for him to not do that, it's fine. They lost the game in overtime. They take the point. They move on. You flush this down the toilet. You go to your back-to-back in Montreal and Ottawa. Now those are matinee back-to-backs. They could lose both. They could win both. I literally could not. I have no predictions on what's going to happen because you never know what team's going to show up. Yeah, but it just is what it is. Like this game, it's frustrating. It sucked the effort, but I know when push comes to shove on a Saturday night against Tampa, the team's going to show up. This was a game where I just could feel them not showing up. There's so much talk about what's going on at the deadline. There's so much talk about what happened in the last game. There's all these the Super Bowl's on Sunday. There's all these different things going on. And there's just distractions right now. So for them not to show up, it is what it is. You expect it. And for them to take a point, I'm upset that they lost, but I'm not I'm disappointed, but I'm not upset is what I should say.
It's the parent thing, right? You see your kid doing something dumb and you go, hey, I'm upset. I'm a little bit disappointed, but I'm not angry at you. And you learn as long as you learn and move on. Don't do this again.
I do think that this game is a very good reference point, though. When you look back, when we're 10 games down the road, looking at the trade deadline, because they obviously were on that like 10-game heater pretty much, and it's not we they could hop right back on it next couple games, but their the defensive coverage was not good tonight. Stuart Skinner bailed them out numerous times. If you're getting even 900 goaltending, this could be a 5-1 game. This could be a 4-1 game. Like Philly had some really, and if Philly was better finishing, not even your goaltending. If Philly was better finishing, this could be the game could have been significantly out of reach. So
and again, it feels weird to say it, right? But Barrie actually wasn't that bad defensively tonight. The 5 alarm chances were coming off of like the Nurse Cece pairing.
Yeah, I couldn't take Cece. I'm done with that pairing, man. Like they need to split off of that. Like Cece's ice time has been slowly decreasing. It looks like he played 18 minutes tonight. Cece and Nurse, they're not working. Desharnais only played 8 minutes. I don't think it was Desharnais' best game in the NHL. Holloway only played 9:39. Later in the game, Woodcroft was kind of going back to McDry because he was desperate. It was after the Hyman goal was scored. So I kind of understand his theory. They scored a goal, get him back out there to see if they could do it again. Whatever. Even Broberg only played 13 minutes. Like
isn't Desharnais era we're still like 8-0-2 now or something like that?
He still hasn't lost in regulation in his
lost.
But to me, this is the game. This shows you, like, dude, like Travis Sanheim is someone on Philadelphia who really stood out to me, right? You get someone like that on your back end who not only can contribute offensively, but is also really effective defensively. That will completely change the complexion of your blue line. Right now, Kulak and Barrie, to me, I disagree. Like I disagree. I did not think it was. Barrie's had a good season, and I'm a Barrie detractor. But tonight, this was not Barrie's best night by any means. I did not think he played well at all. I didn't think Kulak played well at all, and even on the numbers, it shows like his Corsi 4%, 33%, like shots for where his expected goals. Kulak controlled 32% of the expected goals. Tyson Barrie controlled. He controlled like it looks like 40%, maybe 55. He's the fourth from the bottom. Yeah, 55 from the expected. Okay, so Tyson Barrie, I don't know. To me, did not look strong defensively. I thought there were blunders from every single one. Bouchard, Broberg, Nurse, every single one. I honestly thought probably the best guy tonight was Bouchard. I know he had a bad giveaway. But they all had bad giveaways, right? So I'm not going to pinpoint on that. I thought
this entire team had bad giveaways.
I thought in transition, Bouchard made a number of really good plays. He took a number of really good point shots that resulted in like some of the few chances they got in front of the net. I thought Bouchard did a fantastic job holding the blue line at certain points because that's something Barrie seems to struggle with, even though he has been really good in the offensive end. I just think you're missing that key piece. I think at the end of the day, like I said, throw this game in the garbage. Like they said on the broadcast, throw this game in the garbage. I was just as lethargic watching it as they were they were playing it. I didn't really take much out of this game. I don't think this is the team that we can expect on a day-to-day basis. We all know every single player on this roster is capable of so much better. I would take the defensive coverage, like the fact that JVR and Travis Konechny and Wade Allison was making some of your defensemen look stupid. I would, jot that down and make a note of that going into the trade deadline. Because again, we got 10 games left.
Exactly 10. Yeah. March 3rd.
And after Sunday, it'll be 8. It's fast approaching. Deals are getting made. Vladimir Tarasenko to New York. Bo Horvat to the island. The big dogs are out to play. This is the window. The Oilers, I believe they're still second in the NHL in regulation wins. They're the number 1 team in the NHL for scoring. They're getting better goaltending than I think any of us could have expected this year.
Beginning of the year, yeah.
Like every single thing. They could have 4 100-point players. It hasn't happened in like 30 years. They are so well off. There is never going to be a better scenario that lines up for the Oilers to go on a run. Colorado lost again tonight 4-0. They're your biggest competition in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. Vegas and they're banged up. Vegas is banged up.
Vegas does not scare me.
Seattle is their second season.
They lost
They're
again
streaky
today.
as hell.
Crashing back down to earth. This is the time. There is no better time to trade in these assets. You send them all out the door. I know on the broadcast they're talking about Reed Schaefer because I guess when you draft a 4th line left winger, Those don't grow on trees, right? You got to hold on to those. So I don't understand that. People are calling a Reed Schaefer, send Reed out the door. You don't want to send Reed out the door? Fine. But there's a guy on the market right now who is absolutely worth the asking price. I don't understand this wildest insanity. We don't need Jacob Chychrun. We don't need, we also don't need? We don't need 2 number 1 centers, but we have it, and it's fantastic.
We don't need someone like a Patrick Kane, someone like a Jonathan Toews. We don't need any of these guys, but it helps you get closer.
Those guys are so far down on my list. To me, it's Jacob Chychrun. Erik Karlsson is also on my list. It's a defenseman. If they
as long as the money works,
I'm comfortable with the forward depth. You need to add on the defensive end, and you need to go all out. You think Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl don't see the exact same things that we do when, Desharnais fucks up or Darnell Nurse? They might not say it out in the public, but they watch the game tape. They see exactly what we see. They know what their needs are. They might pretend like they stay away from everything. There are guys on the Oilers who see what is said on social media. Everyone knows what's happening. And we all know what the need is. We all know what the scenario is. We all know the window and the contract lengths for the 2 big dogs. If you save your assets and you don't go all in, or you wait until the final year of Leon's deal and you go all in there, you risk blowing your assets all there, and then you lose, and then the 2 big dogs walk, and then you're left with no assets and no big dogs.
Exactly.
You got to do it. There's no, you're not, what are you waiting for? What?
I 100% agree. I think here's the thing, right? The asking price is also something that's a huge boon to the Oilers right now, because you saw today, right? Today, we saw what Tarasenko went for, and it wasn't a whole lot, right? Your star quality players, like, they aren't getting a lot for them right now. It's a buyer's market.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference between the 2 guys that I mentioned and the 2 guys that have been traded so far. Contract. Now, those guys are UFAs. Those teams are under pressure to trade them. If they don't move them, those teams understand that they're losing them for nothing. Now, I know Jacob Chychrun requested a trade, but in theory, Arizona doesn't move him. Now, the risk with Jacob Chychrun is Arizona doesn't move him. He's unhappy. Something happens and comes to blows in the offseason. Then he has a no move clause, or no trade clause at least coming. So then he'll be able to have a better impact of where he's going. I think his no trade clause kicks in July 1st. So that's why I'd say they're under pressure. Let's say they hold on to him and something happens and he gets injured again. And I'm not saying he's injury prone. Any player on any team could get injured.
Yeah, don't talk about injuries as a slight against a player, right?
But I'm just saying, why they're under pressure to trade him is, okay, you don't trade him, he gets injured again. All of a sudden, all these issues start popping up, and people are like, oh, well, now we got to wait again. It's this rinse and repeat cycle. They got to be done with him. That's why I believe that they're going to move him. Now, who are the other teams interested in Jacob Chychrun? Boston. Boston has Hampus Lindholm, Charlie McAvoy. Do they need Jacob Chychrun? No, but you want him.
It's an upgrade.
He's 24 years old. He's still getting better. He is an elite defenseman in transitioning the puck. He's very good defensively. Anyone who says he's not is wrong. He's fine. He's
perfectly serviceable.
He's better than Nurse. That's what you should say. He's better than Darnell Nurse. And Darnell Nurse is our number 1 defenseman. He's out there in our toughest matchups and the toughest situations. You can if you're comfortable with Nurse, you should be comfortable with Chychrun. There is no better defender that you could acquire. Not Joel Edmondson, not Radko Gudas. No one is better defensively than Jake Chychrun.
He's a solid 2-way defenseman.
He lines up with your entire window, and he makes only $4.6 million. That, to me, is the key. You have him locked up. You're not getting him for 1 playoff run. You're not getting him for 2. You're getting him for 3. Why trade a first-round pick for 19 games of a broken Patrick Kane when you can get this guy? You throw in so you don't get a rental next year. You save that. You go in for this guy, and you have him for the next 3 years. He lines up with your window, makes everything work. Everything lines up perfectly. There's no better fit. These guys, obviously, there's going to be risk associated with trading for someone like this. These guys don't just come available. If he was perfect, he wouldn't be available. Arizona would keep him.
Yeah, I think partially you're right. The injury history of Chychrun has made it harder for Arizona to trade him, but he's come back and he's been on fire.
He's been one of the best defensemen in the NHL. He's been a top 10 defenseman this year.
Yeah, he's been amazing. So this is the situation where you have a guy who had maybe a little bit of an issue, and you've turned that with a little bit of patience and time into another asset now, right? This is a guy now who comes back to the NHL and just lights it up, right? They're bringing hope to this Arizona team. So if you're gonna sell as Arizona, this is probably one of the times when you'll sell him at his highest rate.
And the
and if you're the
price,
Oilers,
the rumored price, Craig Morgan put it in The Athletic. This is Craig Morgan, who is associated with the risk is he's injury riddled, not worth. Okay, wise Kyle, here, let me tell you this. Were you worried about Zach Hyman when the Oilers brought him in? Because he had 2 significant knee injuries back-to-back seasons before the Oilers signed him. Like, there are risks with every single player. Connor McDavid had a potential career-ending MCL injury a couple years ago. Are we gonna? Are we worried about Connor McDavid? No. That was season ending. That could have been career ending. That was
if it was bad
injury.
Enough, yeah.
It was.
It would have been at least.
Did you watch
surgery.
the documentary where he didn't have surgery? Like, he could have missed 8 months.
At its worst, it would have been surgery, and he would have never skated like the way he is right now.
But I think,
he naturally healed it.
Yeah, but he needed surgery, but he got like 4 opinions and did this crazy training that no one's ever done. He was sleeping in hyperbaric chambers and he was
took the X factor.
Yeah, like, there are injuries with every single player. You can't not trade for someone because of injuries. Point out a player who's like John. You want to get Jonathan Taves? He's out with he's out with a disease. He missed an entire season because he was immunocompromised. Like, there are problems with every single player. You can sit here and nitpick. I'm not.
Jonathan Taves haven't been skating.
Has a hip injury right now. If he doesn't get traded, he's going to go get surgery. Like, we can't sit here and just talk about injuries. You get him and you hope for the best. This is the thing that I brought up to Dennis before the show. Before Tampa Bay went on their cup runs, they traded. They had Sergachev and they had Hedman on 2 different pairs. You know what they did? They traded for the captain of the New York Rangers, making $100,000 more than Jacob Chychrun is now. He's a little bit older, but he had an extra year on his deal. They traded 2 first-round picks, Mestikov, prospects, and they did get JT Miller back in the deal, but that wasn't the JT Miller of today. That was JT Miller. I would put him more like Tyler Yamamoto kind of level when he was in that deal.
Developing.
But there were 2 first-round picks plus in that deal for multiple players. And you think Tampa regrets losing out on those draft picks? No, because
2 cups.
Ryan McDonough was instrumental, especially in one of their cups, and he played a role in, obviously, a significant role in both. He was ended up being a cap casualty and then moved on. They drafted people like Cernak in the later rounds. I don't know if he was a 3rd, 4th, or 5th round pick, and they plug and played, and they've made it work. That's what the Oilers do. Send out your earlier picks. You should have the confidence in guys like Tyler Wright to be able to make those 3rd, 4th, and 5th round picks actually count. What's the point of employing someone if you don't believe that he can draft NHL players later on? Tampa, when was the last time Tampa traded 2 picks for first round picks for Brandon Hagel? We should be in the Tampa discussion. Keeping our picks does nothing. They literally will not help us.
Here's the situation, right? The one thing that Tampa is willing to do is take risks. Right, because if you don't take risks, you know you're not going to get anywhere. So they take the risk. Sometimes, like the Hagel deal, they're still up in the air about that. Is that a risk that was
70
worth it?
points this year?
Yeah, but look at that division right now. If you don't take risks in that Metro division, you are absolutely screwed. Right? Like,
yeah, it's the same in the Western
Atlantic
Conference.
division.
I agree with you. Because look, at the Western Conference, the Oilers were good enough to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Now put their D on paper against Colorado when they're fully healthy. Yeah. Makar, Byram, Gerard, guy from Josh Manson, Eric Johnson, like 1 through 6, they destroy Edmonton. Devon Taves, like obviously you want to get you 2 guys that are available that are top pairing quality earlier. Would you rather pay the price that they were asking for Mackenzie Weegar or Devon Taves cost 2 second-round picks? Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, this is who's on the market. This is the best player. This is what he costs. It's honestly not that crazy. 2 firsts and a second. And if they don't want to take money back, Pat Verbeek might as well have Oilers season tickets. If he's interested in someone, pay them more assets. Send them guys out the door. Get rid of contracts.
Honestly,
holding on to this does nothing. And all we're doing is disappointing our fans. If we don't make it, I know you want to jump in, so I'll let you go in a second because I've been talking my head off. But we're disappointing our fans. We're disappointing the players. Like, again, you have 4 guys on pace for 100 points. You need to reward them. McDavid and Draisaitl are going to sit here at the end of their contract and say, "Oh, they never went to help us at all. We gave them our blood, sweat, and tears. We did everything we possibly could. And what did they do for us? Nothing. What can someone else do do for us? I don't want that conversation to ever happen. I want them to think that the Oilers gave them every single possible opportunity to win. Every team in the position. When Chicago's players were young, they went out, they got Marian Hossa, they got Dustin Buffalo, or they drafted Dustin Buffalo. But they went out and they made additions. And I could go back and make it look. Pittsburgh made it.
I wanted to bring in this point from Docky way earlier in the conversation. Dude, Docky mentioned times like this, I miss players like Pronger. Pronger came in and he boosted this Oilers club to that Cinderella run, right? Shame how it ended. If that's how it ends with Chychrun, that's fine too. But for so many years, we had to just look at that run and wish we got back to there. Right now, we're on the cusps. Like you mentioned, we are top 4 in the league last season. And I absolutely agree that they have to make a splash at this trade deadline. Yeah. If they don't, if there's just minor additions, like another depth defenseman, like a Kulikov like previous, or if it's like another fourth liner, a Sam Lafferty, as people in the media have been prone to say, it doesn't show confidence, like you said, to the players, to the fans. Your first round pick means nothing. We are in a win now mode. Like Reed Schaefer last year, we drafted him, and now the value of that pick has gone down, right? If we had traded that first round pick, it would have gotten us a lot more than right now, where we have Reed Schaefer and are trying to deal him. If that's the case.
I don't think they are. I think they love Schaefer, and Stauffer's gassed him up. They want to hold on to Schaefer. Like, to me, obviously, just to talk about Pronger for a second, Pronger is like way better than Chychrun, obviously. But I just want to make that. I don't want anyone to think we're saying Jacob Chychrun is Chris Pronger,
right?
Because he's not. But he still would be probably the best defenseman on the Oilers.
Like you said, he's one of the biggest names in the market right now.
He's the best defenseman on the market, and he's lined up perfectly with your window. He's cheap. He's cost effective. Like the salary cap picture next year is not getting any better. They're going to be just as cap strapped. Yeah, they won't be an LTIR, at least as of right now. We have no clue what can happen between now and the start of next season. They need to sign Bouchard. They need to sign Ryan McLeod. There's a ton of things up in the air. No one knows. So the time is now.
It's now. This is when you have to go all in. Just another fun little tidbit here between Daki and Lindsay. Read Gagne as Gengar and got very confused. Hey, you know what? The Oilers played like ghosts tonight. Yeah. So if this is the way that this team is gonna play, then yeah, we shouldn't be buyers. We might as well start folding guys. But we know this is not how the Oilers operate. And they have, like 4 games now? 3 games. Ottawa, Montreal, and Detroit to come up.
Yeah. Well, here. I just want to address something that Wise Kyle said in the chat. What's wrong with Nyquist? You'd be trading cap space now for a good player in the playoffs. Yeah, Nyquist. If you were to go out and trade for Gustav Nyquist, Gustav Nyquist would go on LTIR. But the difference is if you're getting him to put him on LTIR and he doesn't count against your cap, sure, go out and get him. But that should not impact anything else whatsoever. Like, you shouldn't say, oh, I went out and got Gustav Nyquist. I'm not going to go out and get a defenseman. I'm not going to go out and get these other forwards that you're talking about. Because he's going out there. If he doesn't count against your cap, then he doesn't count against your cap. That's just icing on the cake. But I don't want people to sit there and be, oh, wow, Gustav Nyquist is our big addition to the deadline. Because that's not big enough. Right. Again, you got to. The way I'm trying to think of it is I'm trying to think of it from the perspective of McDavid and Draisaitl. When they see a Kulikov come in, or a Brett Kulak was really good, but again, Brett Kulak was a second round pick in a middling defenseman. He was good and he's been good, and I'm not saying it's bad. It's not. It's a supporting move, not a highlight move. Yeah, but we're trying to you need to make a highlight move. No more support moves. No more 4th round picks for Jared Smithson. This is not.
Do both.
We're not.
We're not saying get a big name and then don't get any of the supporting defensemen, like supporting wingers. Do both.
Yamo's going to be our deadline acquisition. Oh
no,
no. But this is it. This is the best chance you get at a cup. That's it. There's no better chance. And they might re-sign and they might stay, and in 4 years we can have that thing. Oh, we don't have any assets. Okay, let's wait a year. Let's recoup. But you need to approach it like this is the window and that's it. And you reevaluate in 3 years. You have to live in the now, and that's why I'm prepared to send all the assets out the door. Imagine a situation like, again, Boston interested in Jacob Chychrun. You know who else is interested? The LA Kings. Imagine LA gets Jacob Chychrun, stabilizes their blue line. Without Drew Doughty, without Victor Arvidsson, they brought the Oilers to 7 games. Now, did the Oilers play their best all the time? No, like that's a wild series, whatever. Imagine Jacob Chychrun is shaking the Oilers' hands as he's moving on to the second round, and Connor McDavid sitting in the dressing room saying, why didn't Ken do that? Now, it's a lot of what ifs, but that's a very real possibility.
It's entirely real. Here's the one thing that throws me off about LA, right? We knew that they were going into a rebuild. They have managed to pull off one of the fastest rebuilds that I've seen in a long time. You know, we were thinking that we'd have to wait for guys like Doughty to retire, right? Kopitar to retire. And then they could finally come up as this new reinvigorated LA Kings. That's not the case. I can't remember who retired in the offseason for them. It's one of those guys that just was a grinder, played a lot of games for them during their cup runs. But a lot of their guys that were good are still on the team, and they're providing this transition in a really good manner. Yeah. So if they go all in now, I wouldn't be surprised. I still think there's a more of a likelihood that they're conservative buyers. They get a little bit of addition.
Oh, and I'd be furious. I'd be so furious. I'd be more mad than at the end of any single Oilers game this year. I think.
Oh no, the Kings would be conservative buyers.
I know. I think the Kings are going to go and try and do something for sure.
You think they'll be big name buyers?
I think the Kings are good. They want a defenseman. They're a very realistic landing spot for Jacob Chychrun. They have one of the best prospect pools in the NHL. They could absolutely make a good package for Jacob Chychrun, right?
Yeah, more realistic than I'd say Boston.
New York, back in 2018, 5 years ago, they were rebuilding too. They sent out a letter to their season ticket holders. They did the whole spiel where, we're going to rebuild, whatever. They kicked it around so fast. Now they went out and they got Vladimir Tarasenko. They rebuild. Access. They paid assets to send out. They took off they got Sammy Blais. They retained on Tarasenko. You make the cap work for you. If you have to pay to send Puljujarvi to Anaheim, I don't.
If you have to make a 3-way deal, do it.
Toronto did it with what is it? Nick Foligno. Toronto, everyone does these deals where you send them, you retain an extra 25%, and you move on. I understand. Okay, you're talking Wisecow, you're talking about Taves. Taves makes $10.5 million. 50% of that is 5.25. So you send him to Arizona. They retain 50%, or Chicago retains 50%, sends it to Arizona, retains another 50%. That's only $2.75 million. Taves' actual salary is only $2 or $3 million. Arizona would only be actually paying in real dollars $250,000 by the deadline. There isn't many games left. You can make creative deals to make yourself get cap space. 13 teams in the NHL are in LTIR. The New Jersey Devils right now are in LTIR. It says they have about $2 million in projected deadline space, and they're one of the number one rumored destinations for Timo Meier. His cap hit $6 million. Even if the Sharks retain half, that's still a $3 million cap hit. Money still needs to be moved around. Every single deal, there will need to be creativity regarding the salary cap. It's not an excuse. I understand the Oilers are dollar in, dollar out. I understand that philosophy, but move the dollars out somewhere else. Just move them. Do whatever you got to do.
Balance your budget however you need to.
If it means, honest to God, and I know people might not like this, if it means attaching a Carter Savoy, and I know he's a good prospect, do it.
But I don't do it. Because Carter Savoy, is he going to be impactful in the next 3 years?
That's exactly my thinking. If he's a second line player in 4 years from now, I'll be sad. But also, I'll be looking at my picture of Connor McDavid holding a Stanley Cup on my wall, and I won't care that much.
That'll be it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, here's the one thing that is a little bit dicey, right? You have some major decisions to be made coming up, right? You have a lot of guys going after this offseason, going into free agency. You're going to have to re-sign a lot of guys. And Ryan McLeod's one of them. Evan Bouchard's one of them. Those guys are going to make a ton of money. Also, on the LTIR side, Clefbaum's coming off. Smith's coming off. Yeah. Those are going to be padding that you don't have into next season, right? Mm-hmm. So these are things that you have to consider, true, but you look at things like, you know what, if we need to give away a guy just because, that's fine. If we end up giving away like a Fogel for nothing, fine.
But
right?
Fogel was a scratch in the playoffs last year. So let's not. So I hear all these people talking about Fogel's the type of guy you want to have in the playoffs. He's physical. He was scratched for like the entire Colorado series. He was a no-show. And Fogel's been great the last 4 or 5 games. But the thing is, Fogel's so streaky and so inconsistent. It won't make a difference.
It won't make a difference if you give a guy away. Fine, right? As long as it helped you with that cap space. Make your team better, which is why, and this is where I wanted to go to close the show.
Yeah.
We mentioned a little bit earlier, it was in the chat, Yamo's coming back. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's going to be our deadline acquisition, but he's going to be coming back off LTIR. We got to make money on him, or we got to make money off the team in order to get him on. The reports are Puljujärvi, who was scratch tonight, he's going to be going on waivers.
Mm-hmm.
And
can I say something about that?
Yeah, as sad as that is, I wanted to get your opinion on it.
Okay, yeah, 2 things. First, I see Wisecal saying Tyler Tullio is my trade part, not Savoy. Yeah, sure. Send whatever prospect. I don't care. Other thing, Wisecal says Lucic and Sekera are off the books next year too. So yeah, there is space. You do have stuff you need to sign. Loomis says watch the Fogel slander. Oh, okay, I apologize, but that's pretty.
We got to do what we got to do.
But yeah, sorry, Jesse Puljujärvi. That was what happened to 2 weeks ago? Frank Saravelli saying there is a trade in place for Jesse Puljujärvi. Did you not see that?
I don't know.
Where'd that go?
Here's the thing, right? Is it in place pending Yamo coming back?
Well, but why not just move him then? Like, who cares? He's been scratched. You clearly are so done with him, and I am frankly so sick of talking about him. And I love the guy, but I'm so tired of addressing every time I bring him up being like, oh, I love him. So just whatever. If he goes on waivers, he goes on waivers. I don't care. All I care about, just get his cap space off the books. That's all that matters. And take that space and use it.
Get him somewhere where he wants to play. That's the other thing. It's good for you. It's good for the player.
Just can I just finish it? The Oilers also, even like they paid a couple of picks last year. They moved arguably the worst active hockey player in the NHL with term left over $3 million to Arizona last year for a couple of picks and to move back in the draft. And they still got Reed Schaefer. Like, you can move a guy like Warren Foegele. Yeah, you might have to attach some picks, but you do it in order to make your team better now. You suffer in the long term, but you suffer while you sit there, and we can all suffer together while we're at the 10-year ceremony, the anniversary of the 2023 Cup winning team, right? Like, yeah, this is it. If you screw this up, there's going to be a documentary made called "How Did You Screw That Up?" and it'll be about the 10 years of 2015 to 2025 where you had McDavid and Draisaitl and you absolutely did nothing.
Secret Base is going to have a video out where it's just like the dynasty fell.
The worst failure in all of pro sports.
Yeah, it's going to be like that Ottawa video, Here's the situation. You're right. It's time to go for it. And as harsh as it feels, right? Like, as much as I dislike Vegas and the way that they go about in the off seasons on the trade market, they're trying to win. At all times, number one priority is to win. And they've had some rough seasons like last season with the injuries. This season, that Eichel splash doesn't seem like it's working out. He's not scoring.
He had a good goal tonight, and let's see what happens.
Tonight, and they blew Minnesota out of the water tonight. Mm-hmm. But I think everyone in Vegas wanted a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
From him.
They still do. I know he had a good goal tonight, but he is disappointed so far in Vegas from the Vegas people that I follow.
Yeah, so it seems like all of the moves that they're making, they don't always hit, but they're trying. And exactly. I don't see fan bases going for management's head. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, if you try, as long as you aren't doing stupid things like signing Koskinen to 4.5 or whatever. As long as you're making things reasonable, it's fine. If you're giving away guys for free, like, it doesn't make sense like to give away star players for free. But if it was to make a move work, people tend to forget. And like you said, when you're first in the division, people they tend to forget. They're like, well, it's
To
fine.
me, if you're looking at we could trade a first for like the asking price. I would not pay this in a million years. The asking if you're like, I want to go all in, I got and blow your assets on a Gavrikov for a first round pick.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
See, that's stupid. But like we know the asking price for Timo Meier. Now I'm not saying to go get Timo Meier. It would be nice, absolutely. You don't need Timo Meier.
Yeah,
it's not gonna work.
This isn't NHL 23, yes. Right? Like,
yeah.
We can't
there's
get a
one
team of
guy
star players.
who is like the most perfect fit. It's literally you're taking a 2017 Oscar Klefbom off another team and you're plugging him right into your roster. Like Ken Holland in his last interview said, "Oh, I can't just go down to the hockey store and get an Oscar Klefbom." Yes, you can, Ken, because at a store, when you go to a store, they don't give you stuff free. You gotta pay for stuff. And right now, front and center on the shelf at the store is Jacob Chychrun. He's sitting there. They're charging a high price, but you go in that store and you fucking pay for it. You gotta go and do it. So that's
you go out, you get it, right?
Yeah, that's my piece. I could have this conversation all night, and I'm sure we're gonna have this every single game we do coming up till March 3rd. There's 10 more games, guys. So you better hope Jacob Chychrun is traded. Doesn't matter where before this. Otherwise, this is just gonna be game over, Chychrun.
I mean, here's a little tidbit, right? Like,
yeah,
we have something in the works for a little bit of a trade deadline stream. And maybe they're thinking about that.
Are you gonna be a part of it?
Gonna damn well try.
Okay, cool.
Well, here's the thing, right? It's all hush. It's all hush. No one send this to Andrew, Steve,
Dennis
Jesse.
Dennis is the leak.
But something in the works.
Similar to the NBA one today.
Similar to the NBA one today, which, I mean, if you're a Raptors fan, ended up being a little bit slow. But
oh my god, the Raptors fans I follow are not happy. I feel like I'll be like in a very similar position to them 3 weeks from now. So,
but there's some plans out there, and if we talk about this all the way until trade deadline day, that's fine. All makes for good content on that day. But you're right. If it goes earlier, boy, that helps us in our chance to try and win this Pacific Division. We got 3 easy games, and then we got a little bit more competition in like your New York, your Colorados. Those guys are going to be a little bit tougher. I think eventually we're going to be playing Boston. So
I'm excited. They get up
I'm
for
excited.
Those games.
I'm excited, but if we get it now, I'll be happy. If we get Chychrun now, I'll be happy. If we make a move at the deadline, I'll be happy. The only thing that's inexcusable for Ken Holland is to just stand pat.
And what I see a lot of people saying is never underestimate Ken Holland's ability to sit on his hands and do nothing.
Yeah. The man is known for his patience. But how amazing would it be? Like, this is
in the chat. We don't really need Chychrun. Renegade Man. We just went go back and watch the last 20 minutes.
Renegade Man, thank you for being here. We spent like 20 minutes talking about Chychrun. There's no
Tampa didn't need Ryan McDonough, and they went out and got him anyways. That's all I'm gonna say. Go and watch it.
There's nothing more after all of Oilers media, all of Oilers social media. After everything that we've talked about, if the Oilers go out, they get Chychrun. If it's at a great deal, even better. We don't have to get the 2 firsts and a second or whatever. If it ends up coming in cheaper, that'd be amazing. But how amazing would it be for Chychrun to come to the Oilers and then for Ken Holland to win a cup either this year, next year, whatever it might be, and ride off into the sunset? Because his contract is expiring too, and he's like 68.
He's not re-signing as GM. Like maybe Brad Holland becomes GM. Who knows? But yeah, maybe the best thing for Ken. Everyone says this, but the best thing for Ken Holland's legacy is to leave Edmonton with a banner in the rafters. That's it. And yeah, we could go on about this forever. Let's save some for next show. We're gonna be back here on Saturday, right? So I just want to say one final time to everyone in chat. Seems like it's started popping off. Guys, hit the like button. I appreciate Lindsay, some stranger joining us late. Dacky, Renegade Man, even though I vehemently disagree with you. Loomsis, Chemo Man, thank you for coming by. I hope to see you at the trade deadline stream. Never said that. Mick Nader, Wise Kyle, Cousin Jimmy, Lindsay, Black Mascara joining us late from Germany. David W., everyone for coming back, coming and hanging out with us once again. It's been forever since you've been on the stream. Started out slow, started out like the Oilers. Definitely were a bit lethargic.
Little rusty.
We picked up about halfway through. There was no looking back. Yeah, that was good. That was fun.
It's gonna be a fun one this weekend because we're gonna be hyped up on our second cup of coffee.
Yeah.
The next game is against the Ottawa Senators, and it's a real early matinee. Mountain Time, 10:30 puck drop. We'll be here. Hope you will be too.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be it for us tonight. Oh, Zach, did you have one more thing you want to go
I was
with?
going to say, have a great night.
Have a great night. Zach, where can they find you? We haven't done this in a while.
Oh, yeah. You can find me at ZWheel97 on Twitter. Yeah. Dennis,
we really
where can they
haven't
find
done.
you? Yeah. Took me
We
a
really
second.
haven't done this in a while. Dennis Lee YEG on Twitter. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Game over! Canada Sportsbook. Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction. Canada Sportsbook.